What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at this 2023 Dodge Challenger RT Plus. Big shout out and thank you to Feeny, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram for providing this new Challenger for today's video. Take a look at their website linked down below. Now this one we're looking at is finished off in Subline, super nice bright color. MSRP is around $51,600. So let's get right into this American muscle car. Underneath the hood of the 2023 Dodge Challenger RT, you're going to find the naturally aspirated Hemi V8. It's a 5.7 liter pumping out 372 horsepower with 400 pound-feet of torque. It's paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission and sends all of that power to the rear wheels. Overall curb weight is around 4,100 pounds and it runs on an 18.5 gallon fuel tank. So you're looking at 16 miles per gallon in the city with 25 out on the highway. This car can even do 0 to 60 in about 5.5 seconds, topping out around 155 miles per hour. Overall length is 197.9 inches with wheelbase at 116.2. Height is 57.7 and width is 75.7 inches. And then now moving on to the styling with this 2023 Challenger RT. Super retro looking muscle car for sure. I especially like the round design for these LED headlights. They have a very neat look to them. You're going to see that Challenger script written out with all gloss black for the upper grille, and we even get the RT badge blacked out on the one side. Very nice design with more body color wrapping around this front bumper. You get an LED fog light down below and then a massive front splitter finished in black. We get a safety sensor, more mesh to allow cooling to that massive 8-cylinder motor, and you got a nice squared off design overall. I think it comes together super cool. At the hood, you're gonna see a nice looking scoop with cool body contours throughout the hood, a very flat design overall, leading its way towards that windshield. And then as we make our way to the side profile, you can see how that front splitter comes around the side, and then we get these massive 20-inch wheels. Dodge logo in the center, and they're a pretty nice multi-spoke design with a gunmetal gray. We get a sharp body line surrounding this front fender, the 345 badge on the side, and then just a super flat, clean design throughout the side profile. You get one simple body line, and it has that retro look. You can see the body color door handles and mirror caps, and then black surrounding the windows, and then your sunroof up on top with a shark fin antenna. Moving to the side profile, this is a huge coupe. However, it has that muscle car design on the side, and I just love the proportions. You have a huge hood and an equally large rear trunk, and that body line cuts upwards towards the top portion of the rear fenders. I like how this whole C-pillar fades its way into the side, and it's just a simple design with just a few sharp body lines here and there. Moving in back, you can see all those lines sloping around to the rear end, where you're going to see the LED taillights, Dodge written out in the center, with a trunk release button and your backup camera, and then a nice satin black look for this rear mounted spoiler. Down below, there's one body line throughout the rear bumper, massive dual exhaust system. You're also going to see all of your parking sensors down here, and the plastic black trim for the diffuser. Overall, the overall look looks very neat. I like how squared off this car is, and it has that retro muscle car appearance. Moving to the key fob, we get your lock, unlock, trunk release, and remote start, and then Dodge is written out on the back. If we go ahead and lock the car, all you have to do is grab the door handle. It's going to automatically unlock, and then we have a button up here that you can lock and unlock it. Moving to the interior, this one has Napa leather along with black Alcantara all throughout, and you can see more black and dark accents. Moving to the door panel, it's finished off in a nice vinyl material with some stitching. Then you get the smooth leather all throughout the center. Get your nice armrests, a grab handle, window and mirror controls, and then you even have memory seating with your release handle and quite a bit of storage. You can see some power controls on the seat with a manual recline lever. Then the smooth black leather with all the Alcantara perforations in the center. You can see how that makes its way up these backrests. Pretty cool design with all black trim. And then we get a black steering wheel with perforated leather. And then now inside the Challenger RT, keeping my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and fire it up. Taking a look at the gauge cluster now, we get a digital LCD screen right in the center with your tack on the left side, a speedometer on the right, and then a few vitals right in the center. You can configure it using the control panel on the left part of the steering wheel. So if I scroll down once, we can see vehicle information and you can scroll left and right and see all sorts of different vitals that are going to come up. Continuing down, we have performance. You can scroll through this and see all sorts of cool information about different 0 to 60 times, things like that. And then we also have your driver's assistance, and a few more pages will pop up as you scroll down through the menus. On the steering wheel, we get that Dodge logo and some chrome trim. All of your cruise control settings on the right side with forward pacing, some Bluetooth and audio controls. And then you get nice little paddle shifters up on top. They have a pretty cool look and feel. They're about this big back there. And then underneath them, you're gonna see volume buttons as well as tuning. We have a stalk on the left for all the windshield wipers. And then to the left of the steering wheel, we have your headlight control along with interior dimming and your trunk release. And then a power button for the tilting and telescoping steering wheel. We have some vinyl material and the cool plastic design surrounding all of the gauges. You can see how everything makes its way over to the far right side. We get the Challenger badge on that air vent, and then more of these cool contours leading towards this infotainment screen. Right now you can see all of our climate control information, super easy to use with fan speed in the center. You have heated and ventilated seating along with a heated steering wheel. Then we have your media control, you can view all of that. You can just continue scrolling through everything. In the center for all of your apps, you have a few more shortcuts you're able to adjust. You can scroll left and right and see more items. And then scrolling over into the performance control, here's where you can adjust quite a lot in the car. We have your launch control you're able to set up. Drive mode select, you can adjust how everything is going to be set up and just configure how you'd like the car to operate. Going back into the apps icon, you have performance pages you can tap, and then you can view different gauges and timers that are all going to pop up within the car. You're able to monitor a lot within the vehicle, G-force meter, you can see your engine, everything like that, and then even a dyno with the power this car is putting down. We have our settings icon as well, and then going ahead and putting into reverse, we get a nice backup camera with guidelines and a pretty large screen overall with your parking sensors in the center. Going back into park now, beneath all that, we have a few different buttons out here for your sport mode. If you toggle this, you see that little green checkered flag that'll turn on. We also have the Super Track Pack, which gets you back to that main screen we already saw. You have volume on the left, tuning on the right, and then physical climate controls down below. You have your fan speed in the center, 2 different zones, and then all the defrost and air conditioning. We have a pretty cool design for your shift lever, along with some storage, and then more of this gray plastic material throughout the center. You have 2 cup holders in here as well, and then this will open up. We get a few different plugs and a good size area overall. Glove box is pretty large, as you would expect in this car. And then an overall look at the interior. While this car's been around for quite some time, it still looks pretty nice, especially with all the leather and Alcantara, and it's a pretty muscle car type of vibe. Up on top we have a black headliner. You're going to see a manual sunshade as well, and then up on top we get a sunglass holder and then all of your dome lights and garage door opener buttons. The Dodge Challenger does have back seats. If we pull this lever and move the seat out of the way, you can see 3 people back here. You can see the same materials with all the Alcantara along with that smooth leather. And then right in the center, if you grab this seat, we can pull this backrest down. You're gonna get a nice armrest with 2 cup holders. There's also a few amenities like your climate vents up in front, and you're also gonna see some storage cubbies behind the seats. So then now sitting in the back of the Dodge Challenger at 5'10", I fit back here pretty decently. My head just barely touches the ceiling. You do have quite a lot of glass back here to make it feel pretty comfortable. And when I even put the seat back in my height, I actually have knee room and leg room. So for being a 2-door car, this is probably the most practical, most comfortable back seat out of anything, especially comparing it to its rivals from Ford and Chevrolet, but not too bad for sure. And then the handle, you even have access back here to easily climb right out. Moving our way to the trunk, I can double tap the button on the key fob. Of course, there is that button on the back as well. And then just lifting this up, you have so much space in here. This is a huge car in general. You can probably fit 4 sets of golf bags back here. And you can even open up the floor, you get a little bit of hidden storage space, and you see just how large everything is. Of course, the back seats are gonna fold down as well to really maximize the cargo area. And for being a 2-door car, given the size, it is definitely one practical muscle car. All right, so we are setting off now in the Challenger. Not a bad power plant, it's pretty peppy, it at least gets you up to speed nicely, and you get that awesome V8 soundtrack. Really cool to still have a V8, at least in a modern car. Now some normal driving, and if I tone it back down and at least take it out of sport mode and just normal automatic, it's a pretty livable, normal car to drive, quite honestly. It is huge, you can see that hood is super far away. However, it's really comfortable and kind of luxurious in here. You have a huge cabin, there's so much interior space. Visibility is pretty good out the windshield as well. Of course, you can see the huge hood, but you can still really nicely see ahead of you. Mirrors all do a really good job letting you know what's going on behind you. And then over your right and left shoulder, you get pretty good visibility. Over your left is not bad at all. On your right side, that piece is definitely a little big, so hinders visibility just a tad, but I wouldn't say it's really all that bad. The suspension, there's nothing adaptive in this RT trim level. However, it's still comfortable. It absorbs bumps really well, and I don't really seem to have any issues with just normal driving. And then back to slowly getting up to some speed and everything. The transmission shifts really smooth. It's a pretty normal car, like I mentioned. It doesn't really rev too high. Being a large engine, it doesn't have to work that hard to at least get you up to speed. I think the seats are also really comfortable as well. You got a lot of good padding. They're large seats too, so I think it'll accommodate quite a lot of different body styles. But I'm fitting in here pretty nicely, and the ergonomics are pretty decent. It's easy to reach everything. So you really can't complain for just normal driving. This is a good daily, just a normal around town type of car, but you actually have practicality. Those back seats and trunk make this super usable. So if you really want to get a two-door car, but you genuinely want something that is actually pretty darn practical, this is something to take a look at. And that is gravel, so we're gonna keep going straight. But when you are cruising, there's really no like wind noise, road noise, things like that. So it's a decently insulated car, and there's enough tech to make it kind of modern. So if I go back into sport mode doesn't do all that much for this car, being it doesn't have anything truly adaptive. However, when you go into here, you're able to view what you can change. So it's really just the engine. It'll just get a little bit tighter with the tuning, paddle shifting, you can turn that on and off, and then just traction and steering. Now in comfort mode, steering is super lazy, really effortless, which is great to see. And then sport mode, it definitely tightens up, adds a little bit of weight to it. So it's a pretty good entry point into the muscle car world if you're looking for something not too out of the price range. I mean, $50-something thousand, it's not cheap. However, it's just a little bit more than an average car in today's market, so not all too bad. And then one last acceleration. It's pretty peppy. It'll get up to speed nicely. You can enjoy the power, get up to speed. So overall, it's a pretty good blend for that entry point into a muscle car. You got the V8, you got the soundtrack, and you have pretty decent fuel economy for being a V8 and all the comfort and size you would need. So turning around to my perspective, my honest thoughts with the Challenger RT, I think it's a pretty cool car overall. This isn't the most performance-focused thing out there. Obviously, a Scat Pack or a Hellcat is the way to go. However, with the performance that it does offer, it's a pretty cool blend to give you that V8. You got the sound. Doesn't exactly push you back in your seat even when you are flooring it in the car. However, it's got enough power to get up to speed, have fun with it. And if you're maybe new to the sports car world, new to the muscle car world, you don't want to go too crazy spending 60 grand on a Scat Pack. You save yourself almost 10 grand, get yourself a nice RT, and you have a pretty good blend. We'll go back up to speed in sport mode and manual and everything. I do love the transmission. I think they did a great job with the 8-speed. It's pretty quick shifting when you hit the paddle. It's pretty responsive, better than a lot of other automatics that I've seen. So it's a good blend, and I think while this is on its way out, we all know the new Challenger, whether it's an EV or not, I'm not too sure, but a new generation car is coming, and this is kind of the tail end of it. I know a lot of people hate the interior, saying it's insanely dated. If you take out the pixels of the screen, I don't think it's that bad. The controls down here for climbing stuff, a little basic looking, nothing all too fancy. But with these cars spec nicely, being the Plus, this one's got the leather and Alcantara, it feels like a nicer car than you would think, and it's really not that bad. It's comfortable, it's roomy, and the materials that you touch are nice enough to where I don't really have any crazy issues or anything. It seems to be a pretty good place to be. And while the tech is a little on the dated side, it actually gives you everything you need. You can opt for navigation, this one doesn't have it, but you have all the stuff on the screens that you would need. So it makes for a pretty well-rounded car. Only other thing I would notice as a complaint, these doors are huge. And if you're not used to it, every time I open the door, I'll push it outwards. Because it weighs so much, it'll open all the way and then bounce back and close on me. So that's one thing I have had to get used to with this car. So that's the only thing I noticed for being such a big car. As far as other things, being a big, heavy car, if you're buying this thinking it's a sports car, handling tight, there's other things at this price point. You're able to buy a BMW M240 or even a Mustang GT, honestly, which are all going to handle a lot better. Of course, the European, the import cars and stuff like that are going to handle significantly better, and having a turbo 6-cylinder or something, you're able to tune those and make a lot more power. So this car you're buying, if you just want that V8 soundtrack, that's probably high on your priority list. I would say go for an RT. If you want that extra little bit of power to where it puts you back in your seat more, Scat Pack to me is kind of where it's at. But this saves you a nice chunk of money to where you can get into one, not go too crazy, and just have a pretty good all-around daily driver, but you get a nice touch of the muscle car aspects. So that is then it for this 2023 Dodge Challenger RT Plus. Cool spec for sure. The green combo is definitely a pretty nice looking paint job. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for plenty more content. And then a big shout out and thank you once again to Feeny, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram for providing this Challenger for today's video. Check out their website, linked below. They get in a lot of very cool specs. But I'll see you guys in the next video.